Hello. Hi, everyone. Back finally. That was a deep sigh, but actually, I missed this. It's been a while since I've been live at or any recorded any video in any capacity, just adjusting the mic. I'm sorry about the noise. Again, this is my first day. I'll continue to use this excuse until the last day I do anything. I'll do it like Homer Simpson. Uh, but yeah, finally live again. And today there's no games. There are no uh like objective study, nothing goal oriented. Mostly going to talk about stuff because I miss this. Most of all, I miss being live. I miss talking to people. Hello, Kuro. Just like in chat. Yeah, I'm just going to talk to myself like a lunatic. But if you guys want to chime in and ask or say anything, feel free. But this is kind of liberating, not going to lie. I've been looking to do this for quite a while, and things were getting in the way. Don't want to start by complaining too much, but it took me a while to get here. Uh, and today I even missed my normal starting time. That's usually by the way, if I have any technical problems, please let me know. My hello, this is hi. Uh oh, that's a nice middle name. Like reminds me of one of my favorite Formula One racers. Uh, he went by Juan Pablo, but yeah, I love Montoya at his prime. Anyway, so I was doing I actually lost a lot of time that I had planned because like I opened OBS and my settings were all gone, especially audio related. Hi Mariana, welcome. Thanks for joining. So my audio settings were gone. There was nothing there. I had to redo them from scratch. And you'd think those are simple enough that you could just, oh no, I'm going to change those. No, you have to change and you have to test and you have to listen to yourself over and over and over and over. But here I am. So if there's any problem, if the mic is cutting too much, if it's too loud, if the music's not loud enough, I think I put the music a little bit too quiet. But if it's hard to hear myself over the music, any feedback is welcome. Don't worry about appearing rude. It's like it's okay. But anyway, there's this thing I've been working on and it's called Toto. Let me zoom in the screen a little. I feel like this is hard to read, especially if anybody wants to join in on the phone. Yeah, I think this is better. I think this is like the ideal zoom. So this is from my Twitter account, but I've been working on this on Discord for a while now. I'm lowering the music just a little, just so I can hear myself talk. But if the music is too quiet, let me know. Anyway, this thing I call Toto. And Toto is kind of like a silly name. It's a made up thing that I made with those two kanji, the reading for those. But I've been testing a few ideas and I've been compiling a few things. And I'm mostly going to use this Twitter thread as like talking points. So because honestly I didn't have time to prepare for this. I barely made it in time for stream. I was tempted for a while, for a brief while, to just cancel or to move to tomorrow. And I was like, you know what? Let's do this today. You want to do this today. We'll make time. But what's Toto? Like the other symbols that I put here, this is, by the way, this is like very early draft idea for visual identity. This is not going to be the final logo, but I like the ideas here. And if you know logic operators, if you know a little bit of programming or coding or philosophy or whatever, use logic operators, electronics, you understand why I put this. I mean, you'd have to understand a little bit of Japanese too, but those are like the main two functions of the to particle in Japanese. You uh, like this one. If you know Yotsubato, that one is pretty obvious. This one's not so much. But let's go about the definitions here. So there's this big thread, and this is like not a great viewing experience. I have to apologize. That's me showing my Twitter feed, but it's like I wish I was going to make slides. I was counting on having an extra 6 hours to prepare, but everything went wrong this week. Like my bucket broke and spilled water all over the house. I spent hours cleaning stuff. So it was like a small domestic disaster, but it was enough that it took a lot of my time. So let's just talk over what I said about it. So Toto is a crowdsourced breadcrumb trail / self-assessment hybrid for everyone studying Japanese, no matter what method. That's an important point. When I started this, I realized that if I do this and I prioritize people who are just studying through a certain way, or if I want to do my own syllabus, that's not going to work. Right now, not only people are studying all sorts of ways, like the internet made that possible. You have people doing like very early immersion-based study, because in the past you would have to travel to Japan to do something like this. No, nowadays you can change everything, like from the settings on your phones to like the Discord servers you join, to the podcasts and the music radios that you listen to. Like you can almost, if you work from home, you can pretty much pretend you're in another country at this point. And you have people who do apps, who like stuff like some of the basic, more generic ones like Duolingo, or who like some of the most specialized stuff like Boom Pro. I'm a fan. If you guys follow me, you know I constantly post about my my updates, what I'm studying and whatever. Speaking of which, let's check real quick. How's my Boom Pro page? Let's renew here. Let's reload the page. Let's zoom in. Same zoom that I'm using for the other thing. Yeah, I have 53 reviews that I have to do before bed. I'm not going to miss those, I promise. But those take a long time. If you're not used to Boom Pro, let me just show you what a review here looks like. Let's do at least one. This is not the one for the streak. I don't believe in streaks. I think streaks are dangerous. But people like them. Not going to complain too much. So here's the sentence, and there's a hint. Sorry, I need to drink something. My mouth was getting dry. I'm sorry. So yeah, there's a sentence and there's a hint of what it wants. There's nothing else. If I press spacebar, it will give me a deeper hint, or maybe a translation of the sentence. So I think what it's asking here is sore igai ni sukina koto nai no. Okay. That was awful reading, by the way. The pacing. But yeah, it's that. And just went up a level. Just leveled up. Went to level 69. Queuing, people saying nice. But yeah, this is what would have appeared if I had pressed the spacebar. If I press F, well, do the same as going here and showing grammar info. That's the guy. That's if I mouse over it, it's going to show the kanji form. But this is how I type. And here there are details like the grammar structure, the structure of the legend, a little write-up that they put for like information, how to use and example sentences and other stuff. That's how it works mostly. Let me just go next here. No, it was not a nice reading. It's like Sorei ga hisuki na koto nai no. That's a little better though. The intonation's all over the place, but you're very charitable, Kuro. I'm going to do one more. So that's a bit more advanced, but that's a ghost. So you can see there's like a ghost icon here. A ghost is something that Boom Pro creates when you miss an answer, you get something wrong. And it's going to create this replica that you keep reviewing with an increased frequency. And that's the case here. So why no Shibumi? Oh, I think it's wines yeah, like Nodo is density, it's like volume, concentration, not volume, but it's concentration, density, whatever. And I think this is like the adstringency. Wow, the stress in English is tricky for that word. Never tried saying out loud, but that's the quality of wine that sucks. Doesn't suck. That's why you decant the wine. But it's like an adstringency. Oh my god, I need to practice that word. Let's hit the translation just to see. Yes, astringency. I think it's astringency. I don't know. I'm probably missing the stress. Never said the word out loud. Don't talk a lot about drinks. I'm a non-drinker. So I think the point here is she died. Yeah, and that's that. I don't know if you could hear that because the audio was kind of low. Let me stop the music a second. And it plays like a... one more time. Shibumi. Odo. Okay. So there's the grammar info. That's like an N2 grammar point. I do a lot of mixed up study. Anyway, let me just go next to confirm. And I'm going to finish session. I'm going to do Boom Pro here. I have over 50 reviews. I could actually do this another day, but not today. Let me check Wanikani. Wow. Let me zoom in here. Oh, I have to do this before bed. Oh my god. By the time I finish the stream, I'll have 10 more, so I'll have 99 reviews to do. Oh, that's going to be heavy. I'll do 10 just to showcase how it is. Like, if anybody is not familiar with Wanikani, let me just show. I have to do 10 because when you press the wrap up button, it's going to select the last 10 you did. So wrap up, it shows 10. So that's the kanji for stealing. So that's to. This is to line up. Line something up. I think that's the transitive form. Yes, transitive ichidan. It's cutting a little bit. It's how I cropped the source. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting to do this. This one, I'm a little bit in doubt, but I think this one is wet. That's like new. Yeah. This one, I think it's sleek. So it's raw. Those are relatively new items for me, but I've ran into those kanji in the wild, so they're not unfamiliar. And this one is flag. Oh, by the way, I like typing with like a kind of loud, clicky mechanical keyboard. I think it high like it blends well with the spirit of the transcription live streams. If it is annoying, let me know because I have a quiet keyboard. Use it for gaming because it's faster, among other things. But this is what I use for typing. I think this is this Sho or Ryo? Let's go with Sho. I think it's Sho. Yeah. So still, and then it's reduced to 9 because you have to do both ways. Have to do meaning and reading. So this is Seishin Bio. This is mental illness. Naraberu. This is Nu. Let's go mental illness. Though if you go quite literally with the kanji, it's actually like a sickness of the soul. But that's how they decided to call it. I'm not a fan of the term. But then again, I don't know Japanese all that much. I'm just like an intermediate learner. Maybe there are better words for it. This one sounds like it carries some stigma. Anyway, this one, oh, I think this one is sponsor. No, it's not. Is it Edge? It's Edge. Oh my god. This one has the Ritsu radical, the stand, and it has the mountain on top. So this is deal with this is leak. I think this is pleasant, and it's red as sky. So if this is edge, oh, this one is tricky. Is it to accumulate, to pile over, to pile up? Let me try pile up. I think it's no, it's not. Yeah, it's to get piled up. So here's how I have the override script on Wanikani. I don't accept this as a wrong answer. To get piled up and to pile up for me is like the same thing. So I'm going to override it. I have a script that lets me do this, and I'm going to get another chance. Because I understood what it meant, I just didn't nail the wording. So I don't care about the wording. Anyway, I think this might be key. I think this crab here is kind of like the sound element. Yes. If this is edge, I think this is psi. No, it's not psi. It's done. Wow, I already forgot this. Okay. To get piled up. Is this okay? Now this one I really don't know. Let's go umoru just to try. It's not sumeru. Sumoru. Okay. Kai sum. And that's done. So yeah, I got 80%, only did 10. That's just to show an idea like how long those take. So yeah, after I finish this, I have to be up to do a few of those. It's okay. Here it's my progress towards the next level. You have to fill all those bars. Like every time you get them right, you fill a bar like this, and by the time, because it's like the levels are set here. There's apprentice 1, apprentice 2, apprentice 3, apprentice 4. You want to take them to guru. There's guru 1 and guru 2. When you take them to guru, they're going to be purple like this, which means that like I have to do to turn all those purples at least up to here. I think this counts as 90%. I think it is. So 90% of the kanji in this level is what qualifies as like enough to pass the level. And Wanikani levels are broken down like this. I'm on level 30 right now, so it's the last level of what it's called death. So pleasant are those first 10, painful are the next ones, and I'm at the end of death. I'm like at the halfway point in the program. I mean, kinda. At this point, I'm already past the halfway point because a lot of those levels here at the end are easy. I mean, relatively easy, not like completely easy, but yeah. Um, but the next few levels are going to be tough. So I already have a break schedule for when I reach 35 and for when I reach 40. Um, let me do something real quick. I think I have somebody knocking at the door. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Let me just check what it is. I forgot to play the music. I completely forgot. Let's go, and I'll be right back. And it wasn't nothing. It was just nothing. It wasn't for me. It was for my neighbor. People were just being loud. Anyway, let's go back to Toto. Because this is not the goal. I have notifications. Not going to check what they are. Let's just focus here. So yeah, us talking about like making neutral for like learning methods. I don't want something that is conditioned. Like some people go super in depth into books and they um like go really deep into traditional studies. Some people still go to classes and they take classes with other people. Some people self study. Some people listen to more audio. Some people are like, there are many ways to go about it. I'm a firm believer there's no wrong method. As long as you consistently get improvements, if you notice that you're getting better, keep doing what you're doing. If you stop getting results, then shake things up. I like coming at it from different angles. I like doing a lot of different things, but honestly, whatever works for you, it's working. I have no business judging. But how does that work? And then we go for like the next point. So everyone has a level in a progression system that goes to zero, from zero when you just begun to 100, in which you have very advanced knowledge. I'm jokingly calling this totore, short for total rebero, because it's cute and hopefully safe from litigation from Ghibli. I hope they don't sue me over this. I think totore is it's different enough that they're not going to bother me over this. But anyway, your tutor is going to determine the stuff you're supposed to study. I'm going to talk a little bit about more about this, but let's go. Every toto is going to be made public in beta first, so I can gather feedback and publish a finished version. I think I actually going to start with like an alpha right now because I want feedback. I want feedback from people studying. I want feedback from teachers. I want feedback from like people who make resources. Like I talked to some of them on Twitter. I reached out. They were very nice and they were very helpful. But I want to compile like a little more before I bug them again for feedback. But once it's done, I think I'm going to do them as blog posts. I have a page on Ko-fi, so I'm going to be posting there. But don't worry, it's not going. Nothing's going to be behind the paywall. I'm going to make it everything free. That's not the point here. I'm not trying. This is not me trying to score something. It's really because here's the problem. I come on Twitter every other day. I see somebody who's just going like, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing with Japanese. I don't know. Like, I studied this much. Wow, loud music. Let's go for another song. Anyway, they come, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and help me. And usually they don't even give you a lot more information other than that. You have to ask for it, which I'm kind of old school. I'm from the time of the bulletin boards online. I'm pre-social media. I'm from the web one, if you will. So one of the rules is like, if you want help, give as much information as you can so people can help you. I feel like sometimes people miss this point. It's like, help me learn Japanese. Okay, how much you know? How much have you studied? Like, and sometimes the person actually knows a lot, but they don't say it. So you start recommending, oh, start Mechana here. It's like, but the person's actually, it's like lower intermediate or something. This is something so you can know your placement and so you know what to study so you can reach the next level. Right now, the thing that people follow the most are the JLPT proficiency levels. The popular known as N5, N4, N2, and I skipped N3 and N1. Not a fan of N3. I'll talk about it some other time, but those 5 levels, and those are usually what people follow. Because most people by now realize that the textbooks, the traditional textbooks, only take you so far, and usually to intermediate. And you're expected to study more on your own with advanced books, get like a monolingual dictionary and other stuff. And now you have apps and other stuff that cover that gap. But people for a long time, they use the proficiency. Oh, you say you can't hear the music. Can you hear the music now? I don't know if it's like loud enough. Anybody else having trouble listening to the music? I can listen to it. I can hear it like loud and clear here. But that's okay. Let's see how it behaves. Okay, maybe it's something the way I'm streaming. Some of my settings is messed up. I don't think I can fix this right now, other than crank it up to the maximum volume. This is the maximum volume the music's supposed to play. Yeah, I don't think it can go higher than that. So if you're not listening, I messed up the settings. And for that, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I think I messed up the settings. I will fix that later. It was especially my sound settings that were messed up, like completely gone blank when I opened OBS, because I haven't streamed in a while, and I don't know, maybe it was something with my device getting disconnected. I have an audio interface and my settings were gone. So there's no music, so I'm just going to reduce this. There's no point in me listening to this. Let's keep it simple. Let's talk more about like Toto and what is like going to be, and Uh, like for now, I'm just reciting information that's already like publicly available. Let me just like wrap up this part. So as I was saying, people go by JLPT levels. That creates like a few problems. The biggest problem is that the gap between the levels gets huge the farther you go. Like N5 is like oh no, thank you for letting me know. I really don't it's not so much that I worry, is that I think that just audio is a bit dry. I wish there was a little bit of background music, but it's okay. But thank you for warning me. That's actually very helpful. And if it was something like a game, it would be like a big bummer. But if it was just like ambient music, that's not supposed to matter so much. Anyway, if people are going by JLPT levels, you start and you go N5. Okay, actually the list you have to start for N5 is not a joke. It's like pretty it's pretty big. It doesn't look like it, but I still argue that N5, while both not worth taking as a certification, because it's like, what are you certifying at that point? It's like certifying that you're a beginner. I don't think that's worth certification. I think certification, I mean, unless you have like a practical use. I suppose there are a few cases where, like, oh, if you're going to study in Japan and you're like a high schooler, or you're like college, and you're going to start, I suppose something like that could count like towards that. But people who do that for self study, and I don't know. But then again, I have to travel to take the test. I don't have it in my town, so I wouldn't go just take the test for the certification itself. But some people do for validation or for motivation. I want to do something with more granularity. So the stuff you have to study for N5 is a lot, but it's this much considered to what you have to study for N4, which is like this. The stuff you have to study for N3, it's like you can barely see my hands anymore. And by the time you get to N2, you're completely lost. There's like what? It's like now there are books there's like completely focused on that. There's like the Shinkansen Master series, there's like Marugoto. There are a few books that are like precisely designed just for this. And a lot of those websites now, those apps, they have content for those very advanced levels. If I go back like to Boom Pro, and if I go here, lessons, you can see there I have like, it's going to take a while to load. I have like the certification levels, and it has like the grammar points are all broken down based on like what level you're supposed to study them. And though this list isn't super either, honestly isn't even super reliable. They don't publish like an official list of grammar points of vocabulary. Every time you see one of those, it's usually just a suggestion. It's like, oh, those things have been in the test before. But that's why sometimes you look up a grammar point and one reference will say that it's N2, the other reference will say it's N3. And I think the other problem is that there's a lot of basic stuff that is branded as advanced or upper intermediate. Like, take this grammar point here, and which you append, like you use this auxiliary verb iru, and you add to like the mass form the stem that the ends in the I, in the E sound. So like when you say arianai, that's common day, everyday Japanese. You're going to hear that like if you watch like an anime or drama or anybody talking, you're going to hear that literally every day. But here, this is advanced, and this is not even hard. This like, know what's hard? Passive. What's hard is causative. What's hard is stiff form. And those are hard grammar points. Those take a while to understand. Wa versus ga is N5, and it's like the thing that probably even most advanced speakers struggle with. It's like it is no joke. Like people will mock the difficulty of the first few levels. No, those are actually, I think those are the hardest ones. The more advanced levels take longer to study for, but the content on them actually not that hard. But you have to study a lot. You have to study. You have to put thousands of hours to take like N2 or N1. Um, you're measuring time in like very high amounts, but the actual brain power that you need for those is like not that high. It's just like read a lot, read newspapers, read websites, read books. If you can read stuff regularly, you can pass in one and two. And I'm talking about as somebody who's right now not capable of it, but I'm not intimidated. It's just that I know that it's going to take time, so I'm doing that. I'm studying. So one of the reasons why I want to do a higher, um, more granularity and go from level 0 to 100 is so there's like a feeling of achievement for every step. It's like because the steps are so far in between and they might take so long. Like a person who just struggled to pass N5, if you show them the entry test, they're going to go like, no, I can't do it. I don't think they can do it. And I think a lot of people lose motivation because I don't know. I think some people want to sell Japanese as this fascinating language, but they do a disservice by mostly talking about how challenging it is. And I love Japanese for how challenging it is. It's my favorite aspect. It's challenging, it's nuanced. It has like a writing system that is very complex, very how can I describe it? Very deep. Like you can do a lot of things with writing, and that's why the reason I want to learn the most is to read books and comics and stuff like that. Not really interested in conversation, but that's just me. But I think a lot of people scare the newbies, and it's like there's no need to like they'll talk about like the number of kanji. Yeah, it's a big number, but turns out it's not that hard. The hardest beginning. Every new concept is hard, but once you get used to, you don't even bat an eye. Like I put more brain power into my first 200 kanji than I'm putting into like my final 2000 that I'm doing now. Though to be fair, I'm going beyond 2000. I just blanked out on the word. Um so yeah, so like a 100 level progression. I'm not going to roll out those all at once. Like my goal here is like the first 5 or so levels. I want to do them more or less soon. I think I can do level 1 by the end of the month, at least like the alpha. But I already have some stuff. Like I already have the character list for levels 1 to 5 already almost closed. Like level 5 is a bit up for debate, but levels 1 to 4 I have the character list like already decided. Um yeah, and I talk about like how beginners to lower intermediates are the ones that need this guide posting the most, but it's like whatever. Anyway, every level is broken into 2 sections, 2 parts, and every part has 4 subsections. There's the guidance, and there's the assessment. Um, so it's one to and the other to. And each one of them will have four subsections. So, like, the guidance part is broken into by basically a checklist, a huge checklist. I already changed those numbers. Those numbers are old, but I'm going to talk about those characters. I said 40 characters per level, and when I mean characters, I meant like letters, punctuation, whatever. I was supposed to use other stuff like characters. I repeated characters here. Some brain fart. Um, so there's I actually changed that to 45, and it's because of the first levels. But it's going to be good for the other ones too. Like 5 extra kanji will not hurt. But the first levels, I wanted to add punctuation. I'm going to show you guys what I mean now. Let me just show you the character lists. So this is a very bad way to showcase. So let me do this. This is level 1. This is the entire character list for level 1. I'm going to change this. I line them up like this so I can export them to Sheets, to Google Sheets, which is the equivalent of Excel, Microsoft Excel. Tachitsu teto. Tachitsu zeto nani nu ne no. Okay, this here is level 1. And it's not even like the full it's not even like the full hiragana like gojon table. And actually this is also part level 1. I put punctuation because I want to I noticed that a lot of people misuse Japanese punctuation because it's similar to ours, but they don't really understand how some things work. Especially this comma here. I've seen really weird constructions with that comma. Anyway, this would be level 2, and it's pretty much doing that job of completing the list from level 1. So it's the H row with both voiced and semi-voiced, and the voiced, the M's, the Y's, the R's, the W's, the N, the Sokuon, also known as the small tsu, the small Y's, the small vowels too, and some punctuation again. And there you have like separate, different kinds of brackets, the ellipses, the interpunct, and the yen symbol. This is level 2. By the time we get to level 3, then there is katakana. And I changed the order a little bit. I'm not going to linger here, but I changed the order a little bit just so it's like ends in I think I should have highlighted just to show where it ends. Let me highlight here. So let's go tools, word count, display word while typing, word count while typing. So let's go to 45. So yeah, 45 would be here. So there's a few special ones that we don't use for hiragana. One is the voice U that you use for V sounds. Now a lot of people are used to the B, like Japanese words using the B as kind of a replacement for the V. But this is becoming more common, especially because the recent generations don't have trouble saying these sounds. They have contact with foreign languages, they have contact with English, so this is more common. This is what it's used to extend the sound of a vowel. Very common, can be used with hiragana too, but I decided to put here because most cases it's used with katakana. I decided to use here. Again, small tsu, sukon, it's for the glottal pauses. And this small k is actually for a few counters that use those as a symbol. Usually you read that as ka, even though it's a small k. So it's like for months when you have to say like 3 months, you go sankagetsu, and that's how you write the ka. There's a kanji for that. Most people don't write that. It's like old, and I don't even know if it's in the Joyo. I think it is, but most people use this as an abbreviation. Anyway, there's the rest of the level here, which is like the rest of katakana, and there's a bunch of punctuation again because I don't think punctuation and symbols are covered often enough. Like asterisk, like you have maru, you have batsu, and then you start level 5, and then you start having kanji. And then I start with like very traditional stuff, like very basic, very like first grade or N5 lists. And I decide to up the ante and I increase the difficulty a little bit. So towards the end of level 5, it doesn't look like it's only beginner stuff. Hi, Melissa. Yeah. Um, I don't know. A lot of the old resources don't have them because it was not so popular back then. It's kind of like a recent development. Not going to say super recent, but I've been seeing this for like the last 15 years at least. Getting more common. But when you go to the dictionary and you see the words with the V, uh, like sometimes you have both versions. You have with this voice U and voice U. I'm pronouncing as English. It's U, and you have the B2 version. Anyway, towards the end of level 1, I put a few more complex ones to mix it up because I mean I have a few reasons. One of them is just that I want to demystify this because this like might have more strokes, something like this, but this is also very common. Not that hard. That one, for example, this is the go that you use for language. That's something that you need to use like from the very beginning. And I understand people who go by visual complexity or they go by first grade or second grade, they follow the Japanese grades. I don't think that system works well for people who are learning that as a second language. People who are learning through this system in Japan, they already speak Japanese. They don't need to read Japanese to learn it. They already speak it at home, they speak it at school, they're being taught at school, but they also have parents teaching them. They have friends to interact with. So I go by frequency, by necessity. I go by what's also understandable complexity. I wouldn't put anything more complex than this for level 5, but it's like, yeah, that's as far as I would go. But I think there needs to be a mix. It can't just be this. Like it can't just be like the N5 list or the grade 1 and 2 lists. But let's go back to Twitter and see what I have here. So you have vocabulary. I already changed that number. I reduced it. I reduced it because honestly, it would be too much. It takes a long time to get 400 words. vocabulary is the one concept in language learning that I think it's the most underestimated universally. Like people go into a new language, I think especially in the West, because we're used to all talking and languages in the same family. Like even languages that we think are very different, like the Slavic languages and Romance language and German language, are all in the Indo-European family. They all share a bunch of roots and features and share vocabulary, usually Greek and Roman roots. So it's complicated because it feels it feels like it's like the more you advance in the language, the easier it is to get what is considered like advanced vocabulary, because vocabulary doesn't really have difficulty in the traditional sense. What it has is frequency. The stuff that is taught to beginners is usually the stuff like sun, school, person, dog, because they're the things that you interact every day, or you interact often. There are universal experiences. Then you have what is considered like intermediate vocabulary, or stuff that is sometimes requires a bit more of abstract learning, or it's not so common. So you have words like democracy, you have words like autonomy, and you have words like I don't know, like automobile. So the like the basic version would be car, but you have the intermediate version that's automobile. And then you have the advanced that's like very specific, that you go into like words like trepanation, you go into words like acquiesce. And yeah, those are not the words you're going to hear every day, and those are SAT words, or those are words that you really going to see more in flashcards than anything. 400 words was a lot, so I reduced it 300 to 350. And 50 of those you might not even count them as words. So they're like half of those are proper nouns, and around half of those are going to be counters. Not exactly the counters, but words with counters. So hitotsu counts as one. Uh, hatachi counts as one, even though it's the same counter. Because I feel like you have to put some effort into learning those. It's like they don't come naturally to you. It's not like going juichi. That's I'm not going to put that in the list. At least I think I won't. Uh, I might put for the very first levels, but I'm not going to do this Juichi Sai or like for all the counters. I'm not going to put this in like level 16 because there's no point. You only need to learn the exceptions. After you learn a few counters, you just repeat. You only need to know if the counting is wago or if it's like wago, I mean with like traditional Japanese numbers. So it's like hito, futa, mitsu, and so it goes. Or if it's going ichi, san, if it's going like that, ichi ni, san. So you have study points. It's a flexible number. It's going to be stuff that you have to study that is related to that level. I'm not going to put a number. It's going to be based on every level. And sentence patterns, I'm going to pick 50 sentence patterns per level. So if you have 100 in the sequence, that means that you're going to do 5,000 total sentence patterns. That's a lot. But 100 is not even the goal. Like I think like the estimates that I made so far, I think by level 55 you're pretty much like in parity with like somebody who can pass like safely pass the N1 exam. So anything beyond that is like very specific, very almost esoteric, but there's people who want to learn to that level. Let's create a space for that. I'm going to publish levels as I go. The first few levels I think I can do easily. I think I can do them in very little time. I'm not sure about the most advanced ones, but there's no rush. People who need it the most are usually like close to the beginning. So that's the guidance part. The other part is the assessment. And the assessment is, let me highlight here, is broken into 4 sets of tasks that you're supposed to perform before you feel like you can advance. The 4 are grouped by the 4 basic language skills, so writing, speaking, reading, and listening. They're designed to be self-assessments, so there's nobody grading you. You do them, and if you feel like you passed, it's okay. You move on. But, however, this system's designed with collaboration in mind. So if you want to do it with other people, it's even better. It's meant to be crowdsourced, and this is partially like if you're familiar with video games, you're familiar right now with Dark Souls and games like that. So the idea of that you have hints that are dropped by other people, the like guidelines and stuff like that, is a bit inspired by that. So I want to I want to foster this. I want to foster collaboration, people in different levels. So if you're like 5 levels beyond other people, you can still contribute to them by when they post their test or the whatever they're doing for self-assessment. You can give feedback. You can give like, oh, this sentence is like well constructed, but like this word choice is a bit off, or I don't have like concrete examples of this right now, but I'm going to work on this. So for example, I have a few vague ones here. So if one of the activities is to say a greeting like Ohayo gozaimasu out loud, you could, for example, try recording an audio tweet and post it here. Not going to say you have to do it at any other place. You can do it on your own. You can do it at your school. You can do it at whatever. But if you want, like, it's up to you to decide if the task is complete or not. But the tasks are suggestions before you can move on. You don't have to do them, but I encourage people to do. So yes. And this is like a spoiler that I had for a few lists. Let's show the actual list here. I finished the whole vocabulary for level 1, so that's what I'm going to show. I was working on sentence patterns. I didn't finish, so I kind of want to show. This is what I decided are going to be sentence patterns 49 and 50, because I like picking an end and building back towards it, towards the beginning. This is the I want to or I don't want to verb construction. So I use the aitai and itakunai, ikitakunai. And I'm going to build from that backwards to the basic. If there's no room to get as far as here, at least I know I'm going to adjust. But I want this to be like as much as we are going to learn for level 1. This is the most complex that it's going to get. Anyway, there's going to be other things. There are going to be 50 examples. I put here some of the stuff I was working on, sent like noun to noun. This was supposed to be verb to, copula, and whatever. And then like the word choice for those is complicated because people study with different methods. They might know one name but not the other. But let's go with vocabulary. I start with proper nouns. And you can see here proper nouns. All I have for level 1 are city names, prefecture names, and a few like first names. Or actually in Japanese convention, they're second names. They're given names. They're not family names. So Akita and Akitashi is like Akita and the city of Akita. I don't have the characters to say prefecture yet. That would be Ken. That will be for level 2. But there are a lot of examples like this. There's Osaka and Osakashi. And by the way, there's kanji here. It's just to make it clear what word it is. If you look that up in the dictionary, you might find homophones. So this is how you can tell what word I mean. I'm not going to post definitions. Partially because this is kind of like a test. If you can go over all those words and you can tell like, oh, I know over 80 of them, good. You're pretty much passed. It's like just do the tasks, but your goal for this level is to know this many words. So you fill them in if you want. You can write them down, put it on your notebook, record into an app, like do whatever. So this is proper nouns. There are 50. There are 25 of those. 5 of those are going to be those tricky words. I call them reduplicate mimetics because they're mimetic words or reduplicated words. They're not a combined category, but I combine them just because it's like it tends to be. I notice there are words that people have trouble using. I myself have a lot of trouble using those. Usually words that have reduplication happening. So you have like doki doki, niku niku, tsuku tsuku. You have words like this, odo. And you never know where to put them in the sentence. Like when you construct a sentence, it can be kind of tricky. And also, a lot of people have a very low vocabulary of those. I notice the people that know the most are usually the people who read manga because they are mimetic or they're like onomatopoeias in nature. You can kind of see them in like onomatopoeias in manga. So I'm going to do 5 per level just to make sure that you're always studying a few and always trying to fit them into sentence. 5 counters per level. Here are some of the most basic counters that you can find. Again, kanji here is just so you know which one are. They're not going to be written like this. Like you're not going to learn kanji for at least 5 levels, so there's no point. But that's G for hour. That's Getsu for months. That's Kai for a number of occurrences. That's Su for like general things. And Sai for age. Then you have like the na adjectives. Adjectives or adjectives. I always get confused because English is tricky. It's objective, but you say adjective. It's so weird. It's adjective. It's like sometimes I have the tendency to default to something that feels natural, but it's not. So you have words like kodoku, like loneliness, sayaku, the worst, shizuka, like quiet, and so it goes. You have 10 of those. This is like one of the trickiest parts of speech in Japanese. It's even debated by some like some linguists, but like if it even is a thing or if it's like because it's I don't want to dwell on this, but I'm going to do 10. I think 10 is enough per level. And we'll see if it needs adjustments eventually. Because those numbers here are for the first few levels. whenever I feel like there's needs for adjustments, I'm going to adjust. Um, E adjectives, I double them, so there are 20. So that's the list. That's like very basic. Aoi, akai, atatakai, atsui. Atsui here being hot and not thick. So again, that's why I'm putting kanji. So when you look up in the dictionary, you have some kind of way of telling which one I mean. Um, go here. So this is kind of like a miscellaneous category. So you have particles at first, and you have stuff like adverbs, you have something like not really pronouns, you'd have like expressions, and this is going to be like the miscellaneous category. I'm usually going to save 25 words for that. And then you have stuff like here, the verbs, which I set out. I was going to do 100 per level, and I decided that's too much. Let's do 50 so I can do more examples with those verbs. I feel like, to me, that's like a number one mistake that I do. Is I learn verbs and I don't learn them in sentences. I learn them by kanji, usually in isolation, and I have trouble pairing them with nouns, pairing them with other words, and even using them correctly. So I plan on using that list to actually fix that. This is a lot of study for me too. I'm doing this so other people can use, but I'm covering all the gaps in my knowledge that I didn't study because I didn't know it was important, or I didn't value enough, or I was just lazy. Um, Regardless, if I have a gap in my knowledge, I'm going to cover those by studying those things. So those are the verbs that I selected. Like, nothing really special here. I mean, some verbs are a bit more uncommon. Like, you don't see verbs like akusu too much at the beginning of like materials, but I had limited characters to deal with here, and it's not like it's a verb that you're never going to use. It's hiding. It's like, of course you're going to use. And here you have like sagasu, which is very common. Anyway, there are 50 verbs, and there's the big one. There's the nouns, the normal nouns, the non-proper nouns. They go to up to 210. So yeah, you have a bunch of those. Again, kanji here is just so you know which word I mean. It's just for reference, but yeah. And when I said some of those don't count, it's because I mean stuff like this. Some people don't count this as a one word. I disagree, but yeah, studying verbs in context is like, it's like a big problem. I feel like I feel like most, I don't know, most attempts I made in the past of trying to study like that usually end up with me focusing on acquiring vocabulary as a bulk number. Usually because I learned them by studying kanji and I don't focus on sentence. So there's one part of this that I'm going to go through, and that's going to bag my friends who are either way more advanced than I, or native or heritage speakers, and go, please, can you look at my sentences so I can put in this thing? I'll credit you. I'll do whatever. But let's do actual good example sentences, and also good sentence building exercises, because it's hard. It's really hard. And right now technology has made it so convenient for us to like kind of pass for knowing that I feel like it's getting harder to actually do it, because like you can, like I can come here on Boom Pro, and if I don't remember a grammar point, this is pretty much like a grammar dictionary for me. Like I don't remember how I say something, so I go here in grammar and search, and it's like, oh, how do I say that I decided to do something? I'll go decide, and I have the grammar points that help me do this. And I'm not even going into the merit of like auto translators. Depot is so good. It's so good that it's scary. But it's also making sure that a lot of people are not going to learn because they keep copying their sentences into that, and they don't really analyze what they get. They just copy and paste, and that's not going to end well. Um, but it works in a pinch. Sometimes you just need to get a point across. I've made sentences with Deeple's help. Deep L. I don't know how it's supposed to pronounce. I call it Deeple, but I suppose it's Deep L. But yeah, you have a lot of convenience like that. And like, oh, I have pretty much like a grammar dictionary that I can search here with like so if I try to, and I have all the ways that I can say try, and like, and I'll go here and like, for example, tegoran, and I'll have like an explanation, I'll have like a structure and all those details that I can easily consult. But I cannot rely this for all my life. I have to actually practice writing sentences. So that's one of the reasons why you have tasks at the beginning of at the end of every level, is so like you practice that, you're been peer reviewed by like the community, and they decided, okay, you know enough, like move on, study other stuff. And that's like the whole list. But here's the thing, over time you forget stuff. And part of this is like, I don't know, like a lot of methods will point you in a direction. And I don't think Toto is going to be unique in this. It's always going to make you go forward. But also, if you start noticing that you don't remember stuff, you know exactly where you have to go back to check. So you know at which level you learned certain pattern. You can always look up and see what you did. And even if you did like the tasks publicly and you posted them so other people could give feedback, like I suggested, you can go back and look and check this out. So I wish I had more talking points prepared, but today was kind of a mess. And this was like just like an early conversations, mostly like I wanted to show what's ready for level 1. Next week I'll try to do another one of this, but I'll have the sentence patterns, all the sentence patterns ready, like all the 50. And I'm going to go one by one. I don't know when I'm going to schedule that. Sorry, I need a little bit of water. And of course, it went it went the wrong pipe. Yeah, I hope it works. I have a few good ideas. Some are raw, but next week I'm going to come back with the sentence patterns, all the sentence patterns, all the 50, and all the study points for level 1. I'll try to do this maybe on Wednesday. If I can't, I'll do it on Friday, but that's my goal. And tomorrow I'm going to go on Discord because I have people who are already prototyping some of those ideas, and I'm really behind on feedback. So to everyone who's in chat or watching this later, like the VOD or something, if you're waiting for feedback, I'm sorry I've been so absent. It's been crazy lately. But tomorrow on, I'm going to go there. I'm going to give feedback. I'm going to actually give more tasks so people can do. I was supposed to post a list with like a bunch of tasks for this week, and I today was too overwhelmed. I was like doing stuff around the house and even almost missed the stream. But I promise I'm working on it. And I think I can cut it here. Really, thank you so much to everyone who joined. Thank you a lot for like any feedback. If you're a tester, if you're willing to help with like sentence construction, if you have questions, if you have any doubts, like amending this here, so let's not do a Q&A now. I think I don't have enough ready that's like that I didn't talk about. But I'm there on Twitter. My handle is JPX Machina. I wanted to do JPN X Machina, which I think is better. Doesn't sound like my name is JP, like jump ball. But Juan Pablo. Anyway, there's a limit for like your Twitter handle, so I was over the character limit, so I had to remove the N. That's my handle on Twitter. If you have any doubts, if you have anything to ask, of course, there's my Discord server. If you're there, it's even easier to reach me. I'll like I was a bit more absent there, but starting tomorrow, I'm going to be way more present there and not so much on Twitter. I have my reasons for that. I'll elaborate next time. Anyway, I'll try to do a talk about this draft for level 1 next week around this, maybe Wednesday and around the same time. I'll start on time the next time, not so late. And again, thank you everybody for joining. And I'm going to cut this short here. Bye bye.